What is up, YouTube? My name is David Lee, and you're watching Asian with Cards. I got my buddy Anthony Sang with a very special Matt over here. And what deck are you playing?
So we are playing instant telezombies. Most of the decks is pretty typical, but it's kind of something I thought about myself. So before we go into the deck list, I want to thank the following people. First of all, is that man behind the camera, David Lee, for being awesome dueling partner. I wouldn't be as good as I am at the format without him. Also want to thank Michael Kegel, I want to thank Michael Rogers, and I want to thank Sean Thorne. Those three people helped me a lot with making this list and giving me feedback before. And also I'd like to thank Andrew Shang too for giving me feedback on that deck list. So yeah, let's just get into it. First card, obviously the Dark Armed. You need the Dark Armed for just everything. It's generally a good card. 3 Krebins, a little bit contentious, but we'll get into that later.
Yep.
The 1 Psychic Commander, level 3 off E-Telly is really nice. Allows you to make a lot of good plays.
And then continue on with all the rest of your deck.
4 Recruiters, I found this is a good number. 2 Tomato and 2 Pyramid, because you can get Krebins off Tomato.
Yep.
So you have 2 Goblin, pretty standard, and then you got your zombie lineup all here, all the one-ofs, all that good stuff. Then we are playing Triple Caius. We're playing another Ryza, kind of like a 4th Caius, but we'll get into that later. We're playing Gors, E-Telly. We play 1 Well, 2 Instant Fusion, 2 Book of Life, Allure, Brain Mind, because you play so many tuners, the back row removal, Broken in this deck, got the 1 of Torrent, 2 Bottomless, Mirror, double Deep Prison, the single Compulse as a back row mix-up. This overperformed, 1 Trap Stun, and obviously the Trap Dust Shoot. This is 41 cards. I don't think it makes that big of a statistical difference if you plug it in the calculator and whatnot, and there's also a lot of redundancy in this deck too, so you can cut down to 40 if you'd like, but I don't think 41 really affects the ratios that much.
Side deck?
Side deck. Oh, let's go extra first.
Okay.
Extra, obviously the Reaper, Carbonala. You can also play Darkfire too, as an extra dark, but this gets around Consecrated Light and Drago, and sometimes if you're like instant fusioning darks out, you can end up with too many darks for dead. So you have this. The 1 Armory Arm, this is mostly for frogs, also to a certain extent for Rykos, although in my opinion, mind conning blind sets is pretty risky. Cataster, the 2 Zombie Synchros, cuttable, but I think this is really good whenever it resolves. Gaia Knight as an extra 6, as the deck is really good at making 6s. You can also play Urukizis, and I played it before I changed it out for Gaia Knight, but I think this is better. Brio, Goyo, and then for the 7s, I have Urbizi and Black Rose. This guy is really good in certain matchups. If you time it right, you can just lock your opponent.
Reset the turn, basically, Yada lock.
Yeah, and it's like, people say this guy's really bad, and sure, I'm not saying he's amazing, but, you know, the top stack is technically a +1, so all there. And then all the 8s, pretty typical stuff. So yeah, and then we're gonna go into the sideboard. Oh, hey, you got it. 2 Sirocco. The blocking matchup is bad enough that you should probably be playing this if you're playing zombies in any serious capacity. 1 DD Crow. Double Vanities. Obviously this deck is really good at tribute summoning, so you have that over Dyna. 1 Mobius. This card is really scary whenever it resolves. 1 Vortex. This used to be a Smashing Ground, but I guess I switched it out before. I think there's a lot of ignorant stuff in this format now, and I think Vortex is better for that. Double Soul Exchange. Gets around Royal Oppression. Obviously all the you have all the tribute guys. Technically, if you're against Blackwings, you can Soul Exchange for Sirocco if you really need to. 1 Deck Dev. You have a decent amount of dark targets here, and it's kind of a good check against fairies and stuff like that. Karma Cut, also a good check against those light decks.
And Vayu.
And Vayu too, and more kind of banish removal for stuff that, like, at quick speed. Transmigration Prophecy. I feel like it's good to have some more varied graveyard hate, and it's also a good back row mix-up that's chainable. Double Dust for Oppression, obviously, but also just in general for back row. And then Dark Illusion.
For Icarus attack?
It's mainly for Icarus attack, but really it's for a lot of things that we'll go into in a sec. So should I go into strategy?
Yeah, let's talk about strategy.
Cool. So mainly when I was cooking this deck, classically, you see a lot of like the diva stuff, right? That goes like combo wombo, heavy, and like just OTK the opponent. I did not like that style. Maybe it's just a skill issue, but I really didn't like, the style where like, oh, I hope my opponent has no response, and so I'll just diva combo and try to OTK them.
Right.
I don't think it's that real, especially in the format now. Now that like, decks that like Blackwing and Bayou and stuff that are just so developed and probably the most commonly played if we were to take this to a tournament. So I figured the Psychic package is a little bit better. Creebons himself is a really good monster because you can kind of pay 8. You can use him to tribute for Caius. You can convert him for synchros. You have so many options for that. E-Telly is also like broken as well too. So yeah.
So what makes this different from the typical zombie decks that are in Edison format?
I guess the one thing that really makes it different is that I'm playing kind of all 3 packages, if you will. Playing this. It's kind of not typical that you see all the deck play like all 3 of these. Should include this too. So yeah, I guess we should talk about ratios for these. These are kind of like the special sauce and really what makes zombies go. 2 instant fusion because I think 3 can be a little bit bricky. You don't always want to like play into people's stuff. Sometimes you want to play a little bit slower. And when you have 4 recruiters, this is okay. You have 1 E-Tally obviously because it's limited, and 1 well. 1 well because I play 3 Krebins, and I know some people like to play 2, but I don't play Foolish, I don't play Greffer, I don't play any of the things that let me send Krebins to the grave, so if I don't see it, it's like really bad.
What makes you choose not running Foolish right now?
Don't think the deck really like needs it. I know it's a good card, and I'm probably gonna get cooked in the comments for this maybe, but I think if you play it right, you can get the monster that you need in the graveyard, especially game 1. And a lot of people side that out after game 2 anyways, right? Because you go, Foolish trying to set up a play, and if they have graveyard hate, it's like, it just plays more into like the sideboard cards that people put in against you. 2 Book of Life. This can be 3, and I don't hate it. I don't completely disagree, but sometimes your opponent doesn't have monsters in the graveyard, or you're not able to like get to like a zombie. Like say you open like a tomato or something, and it can be kind of annoying to not be able to resolve this. So yeah, all that. So obviously.
Question for you on traps. No Solemn Judgment.
No Solemn Judgment. Bad to draw early.
Really bad late game.
It can be okay late game, but the thing is that like you're already paying life points for Well, Krebins, and Instant Fusion, and especially against Blackwing, because Blackwing is like the main predator of this deck. If you Solemn their play and you say you go like +1 off of that, they just go like Bora Pierce you to death. Right. It's bad because especially because you play the Reaper, and sometimes your Reaper is like a win con. If you like try to Solemn them and you have like an 800 Reaper that you don't have a way to get rid of, you kind of don't really care anymore because you just get your face beaten, and it's like, yeah, I mean you're free to experiment with that if you like, but I don't think it's good. Let's see here. So I know people are probably talking about like 41 card deck and you're playing Allure. 41 statistically does not make that big of a difference in my opinion, or it's not even an opinion, it's just a fact. But because you have so much redundancy in this deck and so many darks, like for example, you play the 3 Krebins, which I still stand by if you're playing Well, because if you play 2 Krebins and you see the Well and like you don't see the Krebins, it gets really awkward. You also have like the 2 Tomatoes. Sometimes you have like an extra like zombie that you want to like banish. Sometimes you have like too many Caiuses. So, you treat this like a hand fixer. Like people will play like Moray of Greed and stuff to fix their hand.
I already had it.
So that's kind of how I do it. Also makes return stronger, but it doesn't come up like that often. Let's see. These 2 are probably kind of outliers in the back row. So I'm playing.
And it's just 1 Trap Stun, correct?
Just 1 Trap Stun. You don't see any on this side. This is good because when you're making like your synchro plays, sometimes they'll want to like hit you.
Or you need some offensive stuff, right?
Yeah, it's mainly for offense, really. When you want to push. also like helps to a degree against deck dev, helps to a degree against main deck compression, stuff like that. Compos overperforms. I think that when you're playing zombies, especially if you're playing like kind of a slower defensive version like this, if your opponent reads your back row perfectly, you're kind of cooked, because it's like they played through all your defense perfectly, right? And you're just too slow to respond, and you just end up getting your face beaten. And I think this one compulse is a good surprise that is chainable, very versatile. Yeah, does a lot of things. You can even compose your own monsters if you really need to.
You did that many times with Caius.
I did, and it's pretty good. So, yeah. Let's see what else is in here. I know people are looking at Triple Kais and Ryza. This deck's really good at tribute summoning, man. If there's no oppression on the field, it's really good. You have your recruiters, you have all that. This is inspired by Fitz. If you know, you know. Shout out to the boy. It's really good. You know, one of the best plays in this deck in like a neutral field is to go Instant Fusion and Caius. And so, you know, if that's your best play, why not have a fourth Caius? Sometimes this is better than Caius because you get to like loop them. So, yeah. Usually you kind of side out a tribute monster when you're going second, but we'll go into siding strategies later. Yeah, this guy. He kind of sucks to draw, but he helps you make black rows on command. He helps you make 8s, which are not as good as the 6s admittedly, but still situationally good. And yeah, I mean, sometimes he can like hit over 1,800 guys. It's alright. He gets under bottomless too, which is cool. Alright, so sideboard cards. So the main thing I was thinking about with this sideboard was Royal Oppression, and specifically Royal Oppression. I think this deck loses really hard to that, which is why I have a lot of hate for Blackwings here. Specifically like these two things. I think Soul Exchange really helps you get around that Royal Oppression when you have tribute guys in your hand. Also the back row removal game too is really good too, right? This is just super ignorant, although I will say that not being able to attack is kind of a big deal. I used to play 3, and the strategy was to side even more to kind of like smoke screen the opponents, but that's Disneyland. That's not going to help a lot. Yeah, obviously I have more hate for Oppression in Dust Shoot or Dust Tornado, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, this is really good against Blackwings. And as I mentioned earlier, you can, if you really need to get a monster off the field, you can solo exchange for the Sirocco, so it makes these solo exchanges a little less dead. There's kind of some synergy there. What else is up here? Let's see. These two guys. I mean, you play a lot of darks, so which is why I play these. Deck dev is a check for some decks that you can't really touch, like fairies.
Any reason why you're not running in the main currently?
It's not good against everything. I think, as degenerate as this card can be, I think it's a little bit overrated as of late. This thing can miss. It's not that great against frogs in my opinion, because you don't hit the miracle fusions, you don't hit the tributes. Even against Blackwings, I know people have been hyping up like, oh, this against Blackwings, they hit all their blizzards, and it's like, okay, sure, it's all right, but they also don't have that many targets compared to like a lot of other decks. Yeah, the fact that this can miss against a lot of matchups in the format
is why it's in the side.
Why it's in the side, exactly. And yeah, and I mean, you're not always going to have. It's not getting a dark monster with 2,000 or more attack is not as easy in this deck as it is in like Blackwings or like Revive. It's not as free, so. Yeah, really need to be careful. Dark Illusion, this card overperforms. It overperforms because people don't play around it, and people don't play around it because it's not that good of a card.
I remember months ago that you were discounting it against, or using it in Blackwings.
Yeah, and it was really good there. I will say, I wouldn't try to overhype this card that much.
When it works, it works?
When it works, it works, yeah. However, in this deck, it is surprisingly live. When people know that you're playing like Krebin's like well stuff, right? You know, they try to get really smart with you and be like, I'm gonna go steal your tuner and synchro with it, right? Because in this deck, at least, in my opinion, normal summoning a Krebin's and passing is a legit play.
Sure.
And if you have a Dark Illusion behind it, it becomes infinitely harder for them to try and out it. It protects like your Kaises and stuff. It protects some of your Synchros. It protects both your Reapers. And as I said, sometimes Reaper is a win con himself. And if you can protect him with Dark Illusion, you can get another rip, and it can be like really pivotal to the game. So yeah, surprisingly live in this deck.
Awesome.
And then I guess last but not least, these two are kind of a little bit spicy, I guess.
Vortex, just to clear boards.
Yeah. Vortex, as I said, there's a lot of ignorant decks in this format now. And, you know, the comeback factor of zombies in this build, at least, is not that good.
But to clear and reset the board is...
Yeah, clear and reset the board against Titanial, right? Because you have a lot of stuff that targets. Against Titanial, it's pretty good, too.
Yep.
You know, sometimes when you need to out the Christia, you really need to out it. Sometimes you just need this. And I guess the discard isn't as free as I initially thought it was. Really, your only good pitches are stuff like Plague, Mizuki, and situationally like Krebins. So that's only like 2 to like 5 guys.
You can still neg.
Yeah, you can still neg off of this. So it's not crazy. I'm not saying that this should be the new tech that everyone's playing. This is pretty good. It's chainable, right? You know, if someone's playing against zombies, you usually think all their back row is like live, like a battle trap or something, right?
I'm assuming you use this a lot against like saying so Vayu, Amaryllis, Blackwings.
Yes, I use this a ton.
Better than DD Crow at times?
Yes.
Because it's still a +2, or it still does 2 for 1.
Yeah, sure. Sometimes you cheat out their back row removal with this, and it's like really good too. So yeah, Karma Cut, trending card, and I think it will continue to up spike in trend. Good against Lightsworn, good against like fairies and stuff, which I don't have that much stuff for, so that's why this is important. It's also just like removal for stuff like vanities and whatever, although I don't really set it in for that much. Yeah, sometimes your Book of Lives and like Crows are like really not enough to banish all the things that you need to be banishing, and so this helps you kind of get around that. And has like the extra bonus of like kind of resetting tempo and being defensive too. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else over here? That's it?
No, not at all. I'm happy I finally won my mat. So
What's your run been like with this deck overall? So obviously at a Time Wizard pod, you went undefeated. You played against Glads.
I played against Gladiator Beast. I 2-0'd them, although I did get kind of lucky. They drew kind of bad. And then I played against a Lightsworn player game 2, also 2-0'd.
And then a Blackwing deck that you 2-0'd.
I did get a little bit lucky with the Lightsworn too because they forgot they had Necro, and also drew BrainCon like both games against them too.
Oh my god.
And then against Blackwings, I also 2-0'd them. I also got kind of lucky. Game 2, I like top decked the Heavy Storm against their Oppression and stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
A lot of factors of luck, but also like you're still a good pilot.
Sure.
A good swordsman's more important. A good swordsman's more important than a good sword.
And I agree. Let's see, but if you want to talk about my run with this deck, I've been playing this version of the deck with a few changes here and there for like the past month, ever since I came back from holiday break. Let's see, I've been winning some locals with this, topping locals, doing really well in locals in general, and I think today was sort of the culmination of how I want to play this deck. And as you can see, the deck can get results. If you're like a zombie player who really likes the deck like I do, don't give up on it. There's still a lot of tech options to be found here. I don't even think this list is perfect as it is now. If the meta shifts even more within the next few months, you might want to see some changes to the sideboard definitely, and maybe even some to the main. So yeah, shout outs to the OKC Edison community. Y'all are good players. Playing against you guys, the past year and a half has made me a ton better of a player, and I wouldn't be like here doing this without all you guys. So,
well, thank you very much, Anthony.
Thank you.